Brad Stevens talks to the media. You'll hear what he had to say about the draft, free agency and trades, and running it back all right now on the Locked On Celtics podcast.
Thanks to Blockbuster Brand, it's holiday season. Drop Drew in the mix. And 3 from KP, no, we not on the Knicks. Flushing competition like Al on Giannis. Juice and Big Juice, still Beantown's finest. Banner 18 going up in the rafters. Watch the C's game in Locked On after. Karalis on the breakdown. Clutch like a tip from D. White on the breakdown. John on the mic, documenting domination. Matter pen a back bay, it's all C's nation. Rain and J's, how we started, raising business, how we finish. Locked On Celtics pod, home of the winners. Peace.
Hey there, welcome back to the Locked On Celtics podcast, right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day, and I got you covered every single Monday through Friday with a free, fresh podcast that drops directly to your device. So subscribe, watch the show on YouTube, get into that comment section, let me know what you're thinking about the team, about what I'm saying, about anything you want, really. I'm John Karalis, used to play a long time ago. Now I'm covering the Celtics for Boston Sports Journal. Today's show is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. Sports is slowing down, but FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost or bonus every day this summer. So there's something for everybody all summer long. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started. Today's show all about Brad Stevens and what he said at a media availability. Covering later on, we'll talk about running it back. We'll talk about in the second segment the trades, free agency, the second apron, all that stuff, all that fun, juicy CBA stuff. But super important. That's really important stuff because it changes what you think the Celtics might be able to do. I talked a little bit about it in yesterday's show. I'm talking about it today. Tomorrow's show, Keith Smith will come on. We'll talk about it at length. So there's a lot. We're just all going to have to get used to that stuff. But this is the Wednesday show. Wednesday night is the NBA draft. The Celtics have the 30th pick. Thursday night is the second round. The Celtics have the 54th pick in that draft. Are the Celtics going to make that 30th pick or not? What are the Celtics going to do? We all asked Brad Stevens about this at the Red Auerbach Center on Tuesday.
It will be hard for any draft pick to crack our rotation when healthy. And so, we'll think about how we can best continue to invest in young players and their development and growth with the reality that, if we're able to bring, if we're able to continue to move forward with this group, that, these guys are going to be on the court. So, this will be a good opportunity again to bring in somebody who we think will help us down the road. If the right person is available at 30, then we will take them. And if we have a couple of people that we think are still the right person, then we'll see what our options are and what kind of flexibility we have. But I anticipate picking a couple picks, and whether they're on roster or two-way, and investing in young players. I just, if they come in and crack our rotation, then they're really good. And that'll be a good thing too.
So obviously, Brad is couching his answer there. It's less about we feel good about the pick or whatever. It's more about, well, if we have somebody there, then we'll take them, but it's going to be hard. He's basically saying without saying, because you can't say with any certainty who will be there. You don't know what picks are going to be made ahead of you. Maybe there's a guy that they were targeting that if he falls to 30 for some reason, you say, wow, I can't believe this guy is there. We're taking this guy. And you just pay the money and whatever. But you heard him say the much more likely kind of path, which is, if we have more than one guy, then we'll explore our options. And he said, I'll make a couple of picks, and if they're on the roster or on two ways, like he's throwing in this is what we're trying to do. And let's be clear about what the Celtics are looking for in this draft. And I threw a scenario out on Twitter just to kind of see what the reactions would be. It's mixed. Don't expect them to make this pick. It's possible. I'm not saying they won't. I don't expect them to make the 30th pick. I expect them to trade out of the 30th pick and go down second round this year, maybe trade into a future draft. Maybe they just look at a pick that somebody has. Maybe somebody owns a Milwaukee, Denver second round pick. That's first round pick or something. That if somebody wants somebody in this draft, they'll be like, okay, we'll take this one, and you can have this pick from a good team that's 2-3 years from now. It's probably going to be somewhere in that same late 20s, 30th pick, which is all kind of similar talent. I'm not saying that you can't get a quality player at 30. There have been plenty of people that have been picked at 30 that are contributors to NBA teams. It's hard to find the circumstances right now for Boston where there is no opportunity. There really is no opportunity for a rookie to come in and make an impact right away. And this is like, I admit I am not a draft guy. I don't expect anybody with the 30th pick to come in right away and be like, bam, instant impact. Not saying that it hasn't happened, but the odds of it happening are very low. And the Celtics don't have those openings. Who is going to come in and outperform Boston's top 6 guys? Maybe there's an opening somewhere deep in the backup big. Maybe there's an opening on the wing somewhere in the 9th, 10th, 11th spot. So if a high quality guy is available down there, then great. This draft is not supposed to be very good. It's not supposed to be very deep, but you never know what talent presents itself. And look, there are tons of guys who fall beyond that into the second round that have a bunch of red flags, and they become Nikola Jokic, Manu Ginobili. They become, top tier players, Draymond Green. You run down the line, undrafted guys. So there's no exact science to this, but the 30th overall pick would get paid about $2.5 million. The Celtics are well into the tax. When you add a tax onto that, that guy's making somewhere like $9-10 million. He's not making, but he costs $9 or $10 million. That's just a steep price to pay for a guy that is going to be spending the entire year in the G League. I assume at that point that there will be multiple players on the board for the Celtics to take. There'll be multiple guys that they're like, we like this guy, we like that guy. And so they will attempt to trade down or trade out. And that's my expectation. I think Brad's quote there, which was 2 quotes it's 2 different quotes that I put together, basically in the middle there. But that's everything that he had to say about making that 30th pick. It's unlikely. It's just unlikely. And I know that there are some of you who will say, no, I love this guy. He's going to be a player. Maybe you might be right, but he's going to have to prove it in the G League. And if he proves it in the G League, great. It's a tall order to tell the Celtics, after all the money that they're spending, legitimately on a very good roster that's going to be in contention to win another title or 2, who knows, but they're in contention. They're in the mix over the next 2-3 years. It's hard for me to look at anybody in this draft and be like, that guy has a chance to beat out somebody that's already here. No. And if he doesn't have a chance to beat out somebody that's here, why pay $10 million for that particular player? If there's a similarly talented player further on down that you can get on a 2-way deal, it doesn't count against the salary cap. It doesn't add extra expense that maybe if you need to spend more money somewhere, maybe that money is better spent on Sam Hauser's extension or Derek White's extension or whatever, however they decide to run their, or Luke Cornett over the next few years. You sacrifice some potential draft equity here to get those guys, the established guys. And I know that you say, Some of you will say, but no, this is a cost-controlled guy. But this deep in the tax, the cost that you're controlling is $10 million, and it's just not worth it to me in particular. Again, not saying that they won't make the pick. I'm saying expect, because of all those things, the Celtics to trade out, trade down, do something other than make that 30th pick, and try to find somebody that can hit a two-way or something else down the road, and kind of develop at a slower pace. You're looking to find somebody that hits. Jordan Walsh, maybe he'll hit, right? And then you you spend time in the G League, you upgrade the contract, boom, there you go. That's the type of guy that you're looking for. All right. What about trades and free agency and all of that stuff? What does Brad say about that? My reaction, that's coming up next. Today's show is brought to you by eBay Motors. Passion, drive, and patience. We know in Boston that that's the formula for winning a championship. It's also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, all that and more. Doesn't matter if you're into speed, power, or style. eBay Motors has you covered. They've got over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die. So you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay's guaranteed fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time, or you get your money back, because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP, your Jaylen Brown, and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only, exclusions apply. eBay guaranteed fit. It's only available to U.S. customers. Thank you for making Locked On Celtics your first listen every day. Go check out Locked On Sports today. Streaming 24/7. It's on YouTube. It's on the Amazon Fire TV channels app. Go check it out. All the big shows, all the big discussions, all the big news without the fake arguing that you're going to find on big networks. This is real stuff here. Let's get back to Brad Stevens here. This time on the free agency, the draft, basically the collective bargaining agreement, its impact on what the Celtics can do.
Well, I mean, it's one of the reasons why last year's was the time to trade, because of that was the time we could aggregate. And, that's a big part of this right now, that you're over the second apron, you can't aggregate in trades. So, in both of our major trades last summer, that was a part of it. So this kicking in is, it'll be interesting to see how it affects the league. Are there a lot less trades? That will be interesting to follow and look back and study over the next couple of years.
Translation. We've made our trades. The CBA does not allow for much in terms of trades, so much so that the league itself might have fewer trades over this summer. So don't expect much there either, which, not surprising that he would kind of go down that road. And let me just say, side note, would the NBA would absolutely shoot itself in the foot if they depress player movement over the summers because of this new second apron. The unintended consequence of that would be just outrageously bad. Because when I tell you, just anecdotally, all of my coverage on Boston Sports Journal, the Celtics just won a championship. Of all of the things that I've written over the course of them winning a championship, the piece that I just wrote about moving forward, the summer, the collective bargaining agreement, running it back, that did basically double what the championship pieces did, which is insane. The Celtics just won a championship. You think people would be consuming that like crazy, and they did. But the free agency, July 1st, that stuff, the draft, is so much more popular. Ask anybody that's in this business that can see the numbers, July is their biggest month. Even back when the last time the Celtics won a championship, 2008, and I was running redsarmy.com, our biggest numbers were in July. 2008, Celtics won a championship. July was our most trafficked month because people want to know, okay, what are we doing next? How do we keep this going? And for the Celtics, how do you keep this going? Is running it back, which I'll talk about in the next segment. They cannot make a trade. They can only trade dollar for dollar, right? Or less. You cannot take in more money than you send out. And you can't send out more than one player, like Brad just said. You can't aggregate. So if you can't aggregate, that means you can't stack Peyton Pritchard and Luke Cornett and, maybe Al Horford if all of a sudden Father Time catches up to him. You're like, sorry, this is how it's got to go. You can't do that. You can't stack those guys. You can't put Jaden Springer and Peyton Pritchard together and upgrade a spot if you wanted to, if it was available. Can't stack those two guys. So sorry, there's very little you can do. The only thing they can offer in free agency is veteran minimum contracts. The Celtics are in this position. And so that's exactly why Brad was like, this is why we made our trades when we did. There's no trade coming. There's just nothing coming this offseason. And I hate to say that because people always want an upgrade. And going back to the draft, you might say, well, that's the reason why you make this pick. And again, if a guy is there that can make an immediate impact, sure. But the draft is not, I don't think that's where you're going to find the immediate impact guys. Not this year. There's nobody in this draft at 30 or below that's going to do anything for the Celtics. And they're going to have to find end-of-bench help on the free agent market, somebody that can fill specific roles off the bench. Or maybe you do try to bring back Tillman or whatever. You can only bring back your own guys. And tomorrow with Keith Smith, we'll talk about in detail Sam Hauser and what it would take to bring him back, and Derek White and bringing him back. That's where Brad Stevens is going to make his moves. So the CBA, this trades and all of that stuff, it's all going to be very difficult. So if running it back is the way the Celtics are going to have to do this, then let's talk about it. Let's hear what Brad Stevens has to say about running it back. We'll do that in just a second. Today's show brought to you by FanDuel. We all love sports. It's why we're here. It's why I do this podcast. It's why you listen. Sports are slowing down. Hockey done. Congratulations to the Panthers for not completely blowing it. Celtics win. Basketball, NBA basketball is over. But there's still baseball. There's still WNBA. There's still other sports. And this summer, FanDuel is hooking up every single customer, new, whether you've been there, you all get a boost or a bonus daily. So there's something for everybody every day, all summer long. Head on over to FanDuel.com/lockedon. Start making the most of your summer. You can bet on anything, and you can use the tools that are there to set your limits, set your budget, and you can have fun because you're gambling responsibly at FanDuel. It's the official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball. Today's show also brought to you by our good friends at Crack Sauce. They're over here in Massachusetts. They make this fine product here. Crack Sauce, it's all authentic, flavorful, not just heat, flavors. Their sauces have 10 to 20 ingredients, gluten-free, very, very flavorful. They're not blasting your mouth with heat. There is definitely heat there, but there's flavors. You can use it as an ingredient. You can use it as a marinade. You can add it to a salad, a sandwich. I like to put it in my eggs in the morning. I like to put some in a Bloody Mary with a little twist. That's unbelievable. You can have very flavorful, locally made in Lowell, Massachusetts by a Celtics fan who's probably still celebrating making all of this craft hot sauce with his championship gear on, listening to Locked On Celtics. So support all of our friends over at Crack Sauce. They're making all of this stuff, local farms with local ingredients, with local employees, and it's delicious. Like, I use this stuff. Go to cracksauce.com, CRAIC, cracksauce.com. Buy yourself some, buy some as gifts, and you can also find out where they are out and about around the Boston metropolitan area, northern Massachusetts, southern New Hampshire. Go try it. Go meet Brian and have some fun cooking and eating crack sauce. CRAIC sauce.com. Use the code Locked On. You get 10% off. Locked On is your code for 10% off your order. Thank you for making Locked On Celtics your first listen every day. Go check out Locked On NBA. I'm not on Locked On NBA today. I actually asked to be off the show because they're talking entirely draft, and I didn't want to do the show a disservice because I honestly have not paid much attention to this draft at all. I am not the person you want talking about this year's NBA draft. So Jake Madison, Brad Rowland from Locked On Hawks, he's been paying a lot of attention. Those two guys have both been paying a lot of attention to the draft. So that's your group today. Let them handle it because I would do the show a complete disservice if I was on there talking about the draft. Trust me. I know when to sub myself out, and this is one where I'm subbing myself out. Bad matchup for me. So I'm going to the bench for this day. I'm here, though, to talk about what Brad Stevens said about running it back. So let's hear what he had to say.
All the stuff that showed true in the team and how the team pulled together and how the team responded to good and bad all the way through the season will be tested at a greater level next year, and we're all really well aware of that. And so how do we, mentally prepare for that and emotionally prepare for that? And also, we'll see how these injuries play out and, and when guys are going to be back and all that. And, try to put the best foot forward that we can for our team. I think the guys that are part of the group that are back all have to understand that the challenge is greater. And the challenge, because again, the target, human nature, all those things that are real.
It's all very true. This is the biggest challenge these guys are going to face because to Joe Mazzulla's point, which he made after winning the NBA Finals, basically, someone telling you good job is as dangerous as someone telling you suck. And it's 100% true. It's very easy for everybody to be like, hey, you're awesome. Love you. You're great. If you can't process that and somewhat dismiss it, you run the risk of falling short, getting complacent. It's hard to do. It's hard to sit there and be like, oh, I am great. You can't do that. You can't be like, oh, man, everybody loves me. I'm awesome. I don't have to put in the same amount of work. I've arrived. Nope. Because the second you stop working, it's the second someone else outworks you. And that's going to be the big challenge for these guys. Not only do you have to do everything that you did last season, you have to do it on a short turnaround. And for some of these guys, really short because they're going to the Olympics. So there's a big basketball tournament in the middle of their summer. But everything that they've done, it's going to be more difficult. You have less time to prepare. You have a lot more people asking for your time. I look at a guy like Jaylen Brown, who has worked incredibly hard to get this good. Every year made improvement after improvement after improvement after improvement, has gotten to this level. I'm not singling Jaylen Brown out. I'm just saying this is the level of work that he's taken to get to this point. Now all of a sudden, he's being told, man, you're the best. You're Eastern Conference Final MVP and Finals MVP and a champ. Congratulations, champ. First year of a brand new, almost $300 million contract. 2 nice shiny trophies to go along with NBA champion. Does he have not only the time, because he used to have an entire June that off, but the drive? Do you have that same drive? Coming off of the loss to the Miami Heat, where Jayson turned his ankle and Jaylen said, me not coming up in that moment drove me to become better. Well, now you're a champion. You did it. You were awesome. Do you still have that drive? Again, I'm not singling out Jaylen because the same thing applies to Jayson. Monkey off your back. You're like, everybody's calling you champ at the golf course. You've been working. You've been putting in the time. Do you come back and be like, I did it. Yay, that's it. Or do you find the time and you go through and put the same level of work in? You know, Derek White, Drew Holiday, Kristaps Porzingis. Porzingis especially. Well, that's a different animal because he's hurt. He's going to be recovering from surgery. So that's a different animal. So never mind that. But all of these guys that have worked this hard to get to this point, does any level of complacency set in? And not even conscious complacency. Let's go a little deeper. Because these guys are all hard workers. So I expect them to put in a fair amount of hard work. But there's a line. And does that line that you pushed through last summer, do you push through that line this summer? And maybe that's the difference between that little extra work, that little extra improvement, and maybe being a little stagnant as a player. We don't know. I trust these guys. I trust these guys to come through, but also human nature is what it is. And Brad Stevens mentioned it. Human nature is what it is. And it's tough. It is tough when you're going around the world and you're taking a break and you get to that, like, oh man, I can't believe I did that. We did it. I did it. Oh, I can relax now. Like that part is where maybe there's a little slippage. And that's why it's difficult to repeat. It's difficult to sustain. Even with all the same guys in the locker room, you don't know how success affects people. You don't know how now it's a different contractual situation. Maybe somebody sacrificed last year and said, hey, we won the championship. Now I'm done sacrificing. My contract is coming up. I got to go perform. You never know. Any of these things could happen. They could bring in an end of bench guy that doesn't mesh and he causes some discord enough where things change. You never know how success changes people. I'd love to think that this is the same group coming back next year, and it very well might be. But don't think that there isn't a significant challenge ahead of these guys to stay grounded and focused and to push through the human nature and to come back just as hungry, more hungry, hungrier to succeed. It's very difficult. I can tell you it's very difficult. When you have that moment of, oh, man, I did it. That can be very tough to overcome because there might be another hill that you have to climb in the horizon. And getting one championship is great. Can never take that away from anybody. You get two puts you in very, very exclusive company, especially if you do it back-to-back. Not a lot of back-to-backs out there. So if you can be a back-to-back champion, now people are like, whoa, maybe this is a dynasty. Whoa, maybe these guys are even better than the optimistic people thought. You get into, whoa, this is historically good. Maybe we didn't believe in them last year, but they just did it again. So it forces a relitigation of that first championship as well, where people might have been writing it off. There's a lot on the line. There's Hall of Fame cases on the line where before the championship, it was like, nah. With the championship, you're like, oh, okay, well, maybe. 2 championships? Yeah, all right, come on in. You're on the list now. That's there. It's there for these guys. But running it back is going to be extraordinarily difficult. It's going to be a different kind of mental challenge. Now, it's going to be cool for Tatum and Holiday. Holiday's been through this before. He kind of gets it a little bit. But getting to talk to Steve Kerr, who's coaching Team USA, and you get to sit him down and be like, hey, Steve, what's it been like? What was the toughest part? What's been the toughest part about being in that mix for as long as you've been in that mix? And, hopefully he gives you some good information. So it's going to be tough. All right. Tomorrow's podcast, Keith Smith from Spot Track. We're going to deep dive into what the Celtics are facing in this new collective bargaining agreement. We're going to talk about Sam Hauser getting his contract done. We're going to talk about Derek White getting his contract done and all of that stuff. So that's all tomorrow. Make sure you're subscribing so you can get that show tomorrow. Make sure you're watching the show on YouTube. Get in the comment section and share the podcast. I would love it if you shared it. Told everybody they should be listening to and watching the Locked On Celtics podcast. It's right here on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.